So I thought I'd quickly show my kegerator project. I've had a single keg in here for a while with picnic tap, and it's time that this got a little better. So some new kegs. That was one of my old corny kegs. And there's the CO2 with the old style regulator. And this is the new dual regulator system. And here is my dual tap tower with perlic taps. So I'll show you what I did to modify this fridge. It's a Danby designer. I got it from, I think, Walmart online, actually, a long time ago. So first thing I had to do to make the kegs fit is get rid of the shelves in the door. So that was just a Dremel tool around the outside here. And this is aluminum tape. Oops, there goes the cover. So there's already insulation back here, behind here, but you need to seal it up. So rather than put another layer, I decided to go with the aluminum tape. There's the refrigerant set up at the back of these things in the drain. Lots of room for 2 kegs and the CO2. So basically what you do is you take the light fixture and thermostat assembly off. I use my thermal camera to find out where the lines run. They don't run through the top of this model. And carefully start poking away until you know where the wires run. In this case, mine run quite a little ways away from this hole. Punch the hole down through with a hole saw and use some aluminum tape to seal it up. And actually how this will work, let me see if I can get down on the floor, is the light never worked in this model. It actually is broken from the door switch over here, so there's actually no power to it, but I never used it anyway. So take the light out of it, take the assembly off, drill a hole, and then when I'm done, I'm not going to be able to show it, but the hole will go right through where the light was, so then I can run my beer lines up. And yeah, that's about it. On top of here goes this cover. I still have to punch through the hole for the lines to come up through. But what I needed is there's a sheet of styrofoam goes on top of here. It's 1 centimeter thick. So what I did on my 3D printer is I printed a 1 centimeter thick washer that will go here, and I'll punch the holes down through. I didn't do it in CAD because well, I can drill them through, and then nut it on the bottom side. So that way, when that sits on top of this, and then I bolt and nut the tower down to it, this will give it the rigidity instead of having just styrofoam between the two. And then what I did is to cool this tower, people run a line up through and blow cold air up through with a piece of hose. So I went to the good old 3D printer, and I've already uploaded this to Thingiverse. And you take your typical PC fan, and this isn't the right size for this. It's the wrong fan, but I have the right one back somewhere. And then you sandwich between the two, and then you hook your hose on. So you set this down in the bottom of the fridge, somewhere down in the back where the CO2 will go, and then blow the cool air up through the top and into my tap. And then you run the line all the way to the top, and then the cold air filters back down, so you don't get warm, frothy beer in this line. And yeah, that's pretty much where it sits. Just got to punch the hole through the top cover and do a little finishing work. I actually might, if I have the room, I might get something a little bit more professional on here. But yep, that's about it for now. That's my Danby designer homebrew kegerator, and next shots will be, hopefully it looks a little better. Thanks for watching. So I'm not sure exactly where I left off here, but I have my hole cut and the holes drilled for my tower. This top cover, peel that off. What's underneath is this piece of styrofoam that was in here. It just keeps the top from having, it gives it a bit of cushion in between the two. They didn't give it any support, I'm not sure why. And there's my washer I 3D printed, pre-drilled. Lines up with the holes there. Put this on, the cover on. Yeah, I did a pretty horrible job cutting that out. The styrofoam just wants to break apart instead of cut. But yeah, it's just a spacer. And put the tower on, drop my bolts down through into here, nut them, and then I can put my light fixture back up into place and run the hoses. So I'll show that next. So here we are with the tap mounted. Got the Perlick taps on here, nice and sturdy now, all bolted down, gasket in between here and the top. And I knotted it down through the bottom. And you can see I was able to leave the original thermostat fixture in place, take the light bulb out, which never worked anyway, disconnect, and run the lines up through the hole. Lots of room when I want to run my forced air line up to cool the tap. And that's what it looks like. Got the tank sitting in there. I just have a zip tie on the top here to hold it to the refrigerant lines, just to stabilize it, because there isn't a lot of room here. I'll maybe make a mount on the 3D printer for it. But for now, that it just needs a little steady in case you knock it over. But yeah, gas line's hooked up, beer line's hooked up and labeled. I've already pressure tested the gas lines. I actually had a bad valve on one of them, but I was able to salvage my old setup. So I'll get with the manufacturer and see if I can get another one that's got a burr that I can't remove and make the seal work. So don't know whether I showed this earlier, but that's the door finished off all in aluminum tape. I don't think I'm going to go with any more layers on that. It's plenty thick enough, and the aluminum tape seals it so I won't get some moisture into there. It's right around behind the seal. It's actually better than what it was sealed originally. Aluminum tape on the inside over the areas I had to cut to fit the kegs, and yeah, gonna try the new kegs in there. These are my old kegs. They have no problem fitting. They're nice and skinny. The new kegs are quite a bit fatter. These are the brand new ones. I'm not sure where they came from, maybe out of Italy. Brand new stainless, never had beer in it, never had any liquid in it, so I gotta flush them out, put them in there, and hook up a pressure test and make sure I don't have any leaks up in my tap or anything, but should be pretty good to go. I'll just put a few pounds of gas on it and then just leave it for a few hours and see what happens. Pretty much ready to go, pretty happy with this. So here we are with the final look. Is the kegerator completed under pressure test here. CO2 at the back fits no problem. I decided not to put it on the outside after all. No sense in drilling another hole and running lines when I can keep it kind of modular this way. It's not too much of a pain to get at. Here's the new kind of fat boy brand new stainless kegs. Fits perfect. The tap tower, I've got the top off it right now for a leak check, and that's where we sit. You can actually jam it in a little tighter, but door closed, all one unit. Pretty happy with that. All that's left is to keg up the beer and get it in there. So if you want to build a kegerator like this, highly recommend this Danby designer model, but on Walmart online. As you can see, small amount of modification, and it's almost a custom made for this, other than run the lines up through, and there you go. Nothing to it. Easy as that. Thanks for watching. Well, one last thing I totally forgot about. My cooler for the tower. I printed this off. I've uploaded the file to Thingiverse. What I intended was to copy some other designs and use this, I think it's vinyl tubing, and use a muffin fan and pump the air up where the beer lines go to cool the tower. Others have shown this design, pretty much this exact design. It doesn't work. I'm going to scrap it. These fans are not designed to have the airflow choke down into a tube. It just doesn't work. It just causes back pressure and the fan stalls, essentially, like you put your hand over the vacuum. And it causes turbulence and comes right back out the inlet here. So I think I'm going to scrap that, and one of two things. I printed another one of these grills off, and I'm going to put the other grill on the top side, and then I'm going to try mounting this directly up on that nice hole. And believe it or not, this is nearly a perfect fit to blow air up the cooling tower. It'll fit perfect. So I'm going to try that first and see what I get for airflow. Because it's a dead end, I think I'm going to run into the same issues. Beyond that, next plan, quick and easy, I'm going to go with a centrifugal fan. Like a blower that you'd use for blowing up your air mattress, a centrifugal style fan. They're designed a lot more for this type of use, not one of these bladed fans and then choking it down. And I can choke that down into the tubing and run the tubing up to the top and then let the cold air tumble down outside it. There's plenty of room in that tower tube. Either way, that's an easy mod. Lots of room back there to do it. I can suck air right off the bottom and force it up the tower. But as it sits, this was a good design, and it does work. There's no question. You would move some air up through it. I'm not sure what I get for line loss through the tubing. I didn't check that yet for frictional losses. It would work. It would cool it to some degree, but you might as well shoot for efficiency, and this kind of stuff costs nothing on the 3D printer. So I'm going to scrap that and just go with the other grill and see what happens. And kind of the beauty of the 3D printer, you can just print this stuff out and give it a try. If it doesn't work, well, so be it. But I can make do with that if I wanted to. I just got this nice, I'm pretty proud of the way it looks. It's classy looking and almost looks like a commercial unit. So might as well have it work like one too, and have a tap cooler and have no foam off the start and warm beer sitting in the line and that kind of yuck. So anyway, that's the plan. That's where I sit, and I'll maybe throw an update video when I finalize that. But as it sits, this isn't overly necessary. I think the fan blowing up there will be plenty enough for now. Just the conduction through would be enough. I could even stick some spring around the beer lines going up and bring it down and put it near the refrigerant lines and just use conduction to cool them all the way up. I'm thinking that's probably actually the best method, but I'm not sure where I'm going to find any spring steel other than maybe just wrapping this in mechanics wire, but I don't want the look of that. I think I'll go with a forced air setup. But yep, that's where we sit. Anyway, thanks for watching.